agenda on the ground and happening to essentially keep both sides somewhat happy here. Now, we did hear from President Trump, who was asked specifically about this changing of the guard that he had in Minnesota. Bovino is out. Kristi Noem is focusing on other things, and Homan is in. Here's what he said.
Mr. President, why did you decide to shake up your leadership team in Minnesota and send Tom?
I do that all the time. I shake up teams. Everybody here, these are a lot of owners of farms and places, and you shake up your team if they can't do the crops fast enough.
So you hear him there just saying essentially this is a shakeup of his team, but we also know that President Trump was agitated watching the coverage, specifically watching Secretary Noem and Bovino go up there, and what he believed was make the administration look bad in their talking points.
So let me get this straight. Trump is not angry because someone lost their life. He's not furious over brutality. He's furious because the video looked bad on television. Because CNN aired footage that didn't match the White House talking points. That's the real issue here, not justice, not truth, but optics. And CNN just admitted it, casually, on air. This wasn't a policy failure, this was a PR disaster. And now they're scrambling.
President Trump this morning vowing personal oversight of the investigation into the fatal shooting of 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Peretti by federal agents. We at CNN have new video that shows the minutes leading up to the killing. Let's take a look. In it, you can see an agent confronting and pushing Peretti, who is holding a cell phone. At no point in this video does Peretti appear to brandish the firearm that he was legally carrying. Roughly 2 minutes after these moments, federal agents would open fire. A warning, once again, that this footage is disturbing.
Police brutality! They are hitting that observer! They are kicking them in the face! Kayla!
So right now, the White House border czar, Tom Homan, is on the ground in Minnesota. He's already held separate meetings with Governor Tim Walz and with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. Walz's office saying that he and Homan, quote, agreed on the need for an ongoing dialogue, end quote.
The atrocities we're seeing, and I think Donald Trump understands it too. That horrific scene that played out on Saturday morning, you could tell there was no professionalism to that. You could tell that this seemed personal for some reason, that running across and pushing people. And then I hope that we finally maybe broke the fever. The explanation from Kristi Noem was so far off that I think maybe this is...
Notice what they're really saying here. Nobody is arguing about what happened anymore because the video ended that debate. Instead, they're talking about temperature, about messaging, about tone. When even CNN admits Kristi Noem's explanation didn't line up with the footage, that's not confusion, that's exposure. The public saw it. The spin failed. And once the narrative collapses, panic sets in.
All right, let's get off the sidelines, head into the arena. My panel is here, but we're going to get started with CNN's Whitney Wild. She's in Minneapolis, and Kristen Holmes, who is at the White House for us. And Kristen, I first want to go to you just to talk through what we're learning about the conversations that Tom Homan is having with the mayor and the governor.
Yeah, Casey, and we actually just heard from President Trump as well, and I'll get there in 1 second. He's down on the ground in Iowa and answered questions about what was happening in Minneapolis. But one of the things I want to note, you've heard nothing but really positivity, if you look at what we had been hearing, in terms of what White House officials and what these local officials on the ground in Minnesota are saying about the interactions that Trump has had with both Walz and Frey, as well as the interactions that Homan has had. We have heard from numerous numerous officials that these were productive conversations. And this is really part of why Homan was sent there. When you talk to Republicans who know Homan, who know his background in law enforcement, who know the thinking behind his version of what this immigration crackdown looks like, they believe that he was the one who could actually turn down the temperature, that he would actually be able to work with these officials in the state of Minnesota and still keep at least some ICE agents and some version of this immigration agenda on the ground and happening to essentially keep both sides somewhat happy here. Now, we did hear from President Trump, who was asked specifically about this changing of the guard that he had in Minnesota. Bovino is out. Kristi Noem is focusing on other things, and Homan is in. Here's what he said.
President, why did you decide to shake up your leadership team in Minnesota and send Tom Homan?
I do that all the time. I shake up teams. Everybody here, these are a lot of owners of farms and places, and you shake up your team if they can't do the crops fast enough.
So you hear him there just saying essentially this is a shakeup of his team, but we also know that President Trump was agitated watching the coverage, specifically watching Secretary Noem and Bovino go up there, and what he believed was make the administration look bad in their talking points around the events that unfolded, the shooting of Alex Preddy, particularly noting that some of the things that they were saying just didn't match up with the video. But I will note one thing here, Casey. You know, we know that Noem was here meeting with President Trump for 2 hours yesterday at the White House. She had called the meeting. And one thing I will tell you from sources that I've spoken to, Noem asked the White House, or at least was in communication with the White House over what she was going to say, the language she was going to use. So the fact that President Trump is frustrated, I mean, she was not operating in a vacuum. She was operating at behest of.
Really interesting. So, Whitney Wild, obviously, we've now walked through the ways in which the administration is attempting to change tack where you are. Are you actually feeling that on the ground? What are you hearing from people in Minnesota?
Well, they are very relieved that Commander Greg Bovino is leaving. He was obviously highly controversial. He really elicited this very clear, palpable, angry reaction from protesters here, which really ramped up in the aftermath of the shooting death of Renee Good and went on for several days. So now clearly the administration thinking that things will cool off if they send Tom Homan here. This is someone who, as we have reported, is a longtime ICE agent, longtime law enforcement official. He's highly respected within DHS. And so the hope here certainly is that things will calm down. But the people I'm speaking with here on the ground are really skeptical of that. They want ICE gone completely. They say they've had enough. Nothing that they have seen so far gives them any confidence that even with Commander Bovino gone, that things will calm down here and that they should have faith in what ICE is doing. Here's more from one woman I spoke with at Alex Preddy's memorial.
Oh, I think it relieves a lot of stress. I think it helps. I just kind of a weight off our shoulders, but obviously we were the testing ground, I believe, what they could get away with, and I mean, having that march on Friday and then having this on Saturday, and we still rise up.
Ultimately, Casey, what many people told me is that they're hopeful, but they're skeptical. And as I said before, if the past is prologue here, they're very concerned that things will not change in a meaningful way.
Here's the part they don't want you focusing on. Kristi Noem didn't freeload this messaging. CNN confirms she was coordinating directly with the White House. So if her statements didn't match the video, then let's be honest, that lie came from the top. Trump wasn't mad because officials misspoke. He was mad because the camera didn't blink. This entire reshuffle wasn't about accountability. It wasn't about calming tensions. It was about damage control. Bovino out, Holman in, same agenda, new packaging. That's it. That's the move. And listen to the people on the ground, they're not relieved. They're skeptical, because they've seen this play before. A new face is sent in, the language softens, and they hope the public memory resets. But the footage doesn't disappear. Once people see it, they don't unsee it. CNN accidentally said the quiet part out loud. Trump was agitated watching the coverage. Not the killing. Not the force. The coverage. That single sentence tells you exactly how power works now. Reality doesn't matter until it's televised. Truth doesn't matter until it disrupts the narrative. And when it does, the response isn't reflection, it's replacement. Now I want to hear from you. Was this really about justice, or was it just another case of image control? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you noticed something in the footage that the media tried to gloss over, call it out. Let's talk.